Welcome to Baseball Concepts catching position. The catcher is one of the most important positions on the field. As if you look, every other player is looking directly at the catcher, and the catcher is the only guy who can see everybody at one time. Developing a catcher who is a good defensive catcher, somebody who is a good communicator with the pitcher, and also a vocal leader on the team is incredibly important. Catching is a very unique position with certain demands that are delicate and need to be just right for that specific person. So finding somebody on your team who would adapt to and really take hold of this position is going to be important, and then providing them with the skills to be successful should follow. For catching, we're going to work our catchers in a stance when there's no runners on base. They're going to be a little bit more relaxed, sitting more on their heels, and they're going to give a sign to the pitcher with a sign sort of tucked up inside, close to their cup. Let's take a look at how a catcher would set up with a runner on base. So if a runner's on first base, catcher in leagues where stealing is permitted is going to have to play a little differently than the stance they were just in when there were no runners on base. Take a look at our catcher. They're up on the balls of their feet. Glove is out front. Hand is tucked in behind or behind their leg or behind their back.
All right, so when the runner's getting ready to steal, what we want to happen is you want to be on your toes, and when you receive the ball, you want your back foot to come through, your throwing foot to go towards second base or third base or wherever he's throwing. And done correctly, it looks like a hop, but you're not going to hop out of the catcher spot, okay? You want your back foot to come through, and you want it to be quick, and you want to stay low.
Coaches, take note of the catcher's dangling throat guards. Some leagues require this, so be sure to check with your league's director.
When receiving the ball, you always want your thumb down, and you want to watch the ball into your hand and squeeze just like you're catching and freeze wherever the ball is. At all possible, always keep your thumb down because that gives the pitcher the biggest target.
All right, the catching drill we're going to talk about here is the 3-ball blocking drill. We have 3 balls placed in front of the catcher, and each one is to simulate a ball in the dirt, either outside, inside, or right in front of them. So the theory here is to have a player or another coach point to a ball, and the catcher will go down and block it. Let's run the drill. I point to the outside. Now I'm going to go inside. Catcher doesn't know which ball I'm going to point to. He's just responding to where I go. So if you notice, Colin here is in his position. Perfect blocking position. He's got the hole between his legs covered with his glove and his open hand. Knees are driven into the ground. His chin is slightly over the ball so that anything that bounces off the chest protector is going to land right in front of him to make a play on it. I want to introduce to you the gauntlet drill for catchers. It's kind of a fun drill that you can do with your team and use as sort of a relay drill, and maybe have a prize for a player at the end, like a sports drink or a granola bar or something for a prize. But we call this the gauntlet drill for our catchers. Simply what the catcher is going to do is be in his receiving position, and he's going to go from one ball, block it, going to get up, move to the next ball, block it, get up, move to the next ball, and block it. All right, so the gauntlet drill here for our 13 to 18-year-old catcher, we've spread it out a little bit further, and he is going to work on quickness down and up as fast as he can. Through each series, Colin demonstrated proper blocking technique as he went through that gauntlet. The gauntlet drill for the 4 to 12-year-old age group. We've closed the distance a little bit on the baseballs, making it more doable for our catcher, trying to develop confidence, but also working on technique. The focus here isn't going to be necessarily speed. We want our young catchers to develop techniques before they work on the speed piece. Coaching tips for 4 to 12-year-old players at the catching position. Help them to develop blocking skills by becoming not afraid of the baseball. Perhaps use tennis balls to start with. work on framing the ball, and working hard to be a good leader. Coaching tips for catchers 13 to 18-year-olds. Help them to develop into a good defensive catcher by working on some very specific drills that we've discussed. Encourage them to be a great communicator and become a team leader.